Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost of the one true God, back with you with the next video in my series reading The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Without further ado, returning to The Invisible Man as read by Lord Naren White. Robbing? Confound it! You call me a thief next. Surely, Kemp, you're not fool enough to dance on the old strings. Can't you see my position? And his too, said Kemp. The Invisible Man stood sharply. What do you mean to say? Kemp's face grew a trifle hard. He was about to speak and checked himself. I suppose, after all, he said, with a sudden change of manner, the thing had to be done. You were in a fix, but still. Of course I was in a fix, an infernal fix, and he made me wild too, hunting about the house, fooling about with his revolver, locking and unlocking doors. He was simply exasperating. You don't blame me, do you? You don't blame me. I never blame anyone, said Kemp. It's quite out of fashion. What did you do next? I was hungry. Downstairs I found a loaf and some rank cheese. More than sufficient to satisfy my hunger. I took some brandy and water, and then went up past my impromptu bag. He was lying quite still, to the room containing the old clothes. They looked out upon the street. Two lace curtains, brown with dirt, guarding the window. I went and peered out through their interstices. Outside the day was bright, by contrast with the brown shadows of the dismal house in which I found myself, dazzlingly bright. A brisk traffic was going by, fruit carts, a hansom, a four-wheeler with a pile of boxes, a fishmonger's cart. I turned with spots of color swimming before my eyes to the shadowy pictures behind me. My excitement was giving place to a clear apprehension of my position again. The room was full of a faint scent of benzoline used, I suppose, in cleaning the garments. I began a systematic search of the place. I should judge the hunchback had been alone in the house for some time. He was a curious person. Everything that could possibly be of service to me I collected in the clothes storeroom, and then I made a deliberate selection. I found a handbag I thought a suitable possession, and some powder, rouge, and sticking plaster. I had thought of painting and powdering my face, and all that there was to show of me, in order to render myself visible. But the disadvantage of this lay in the fact that I should require turpentine and other appliances and a considerable amount of time before I could vanish again. Finally, I chose a mask of the better type, slightly grotesque, but not much more so than many human beings. Dark glasses, grayish whiskers, and a wig. I could find no underclothing, but that I could buy subsequently, and for the time I swathed myself in calico dominoes and some white cashmere scarves. I could find no socks, but the hunchback's boots were rather a loose fit and sufficed. In a desk in the shop were 3 sovereigns and about 30 shillings worth of silver. And in a locked cupboard I burst in the inner room were 8 pounds in gold. I could go forth into the world again equipped. Then came a curious hesitation. Was my appearance really credible? I tried myself with a little bedroom-looking glass, inspecting myself from every point of view to discover any forgotten chink. but it all seemed sound. I was grotesque to the theoretical pitch, a stage miser, but I was not certainly a physical impossibility. Gathering confidence, I took my looking glass into the shop and pulled down the shop blinds, and surveyed myself from every point of view with the help of the shoveled glass in the corner. I spent some minutes screwing up my courage and then unlocked the shop door and marched out into the street, leaving the little man to get out of his sheet again when he liked. In 5 minutes, a dozen turnings intervened between me and the costumer's shop. No one appeared to notice me very pointedly. My last difficulty seemed overcome. He stopped again. "And you trouble no more about the hunchback," said Kemp. "No," said the invisible man. "Nor have I heard of what became of him. I suppose he untied himself or kicked himself out. The knots were pretty tight." He became silent and went to the window and stared out. "What happened when you were out into the Strand?" "Oh, disillusionment again. I thought my troubles were over. Practically, I thought I had impunity to do whatever I chose. Everything, save to give away my secret. So I thought, whatever I did, whatever the consequences might be, was nothing to me. I had merely to fling aside my garments and vanish. No person could hold me. I could take my money where I found it. I decided to treat myself to a sumptuous feast, and then put up a good hotel, and accumulate a new outfit of property. I felt amazingly confident. It's not particularly pleasant recalling that I was an ass. I went into a place and was already ordering lunch, when it occurred to me that I could not eat unless I exposed my invisible face. I finished ordering the lunch and told the man I should be back in 10 minutes, and went out exasperated. I don't know if you have ever been disappointed in your appetite. "Not quite so badly," said Kemp, "but I can imagine it. I could have smashed the silly devils." At last, faint with the desire for tasteful food, I went into another place and demanded a private room. "I am disfigured," I said. "Badly." They looked at me curiously, but of course it was not their affair. And so at last I got my lunch. It was not particularly well served, but it sufficed. And when I had had it, I sat over a cigar, trying to plan my line of action. And outside a snowstorm was beginning. The more I thought it over, Kemp, the more I realized what a helpless absurdity an invisible man was in a cold and dirty climate and a crowded, civilized city. Before I made this mad experiment, I had dreamt of 1,000 advantages. The afternoon it seemed all disappointment. I went over the heads of things a man reckons desirable. No doubt invisibility made it possible to get them, but it made it impossible to enjoy them when they are got. Ambition. What is the good of pride when you cannot appear there? What is the good of the love of woman when her name must needs be Delilah? I have no taste for politics, for the black guardisms of fame, for philanthropy, for sport. What was I to do? And for this, I had become a wrapped up mystery, a swathed and bandaged caricature of a man. He paused, and his attitude suggested a roving glance at the window. "But how did you get to Epping?" said Kemp, anxious to keep his guest busy talking. And we'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care and thanks again.